Welcome to a new series I'd like to call Dr. Debunks, where I debunk certain overblown feats and abilities from Doctor Who because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is the Beast. For those of you who don't know, in Doctor Who, the Beast is literally just the devil. And among the fans, the general consensus is that one of the Doctor's best feats is the fact that he beat the devil in one of the Season 2 episodes. But the thing is, that's not true. The Doctor never really beat the devil, and in fact, what he did do can't really be considered a feat at all. To give a quick rundown, in the episode where this feat takes place, the Doctor comes across an asteroid that's in orbit around a black hole. After some investigation, he eventually finds out that the center of the asteroid is actually a prison that houses the Beast. And then, after realizing that the Beast is trying to escape, the Doctor sets off a failsafe created by the makers of the prison that sends the Beast hurtling into the black hole to die while the Doctor and the others escape. And that's it. That's the feat that I've seen dozens of people hyping the shit out of. Do you see what I mean about this not even being a feat? It's not an example of strength, power, speed, or even intelligence. The entire purpose of the prison was to fall into the black hole if the failsafe was activated, and the people who made the failsafe made it as easy as possible for anybody to figure out how to use it. Not only are there very clear pictures that tell what the situation is and what to do if the Beast is escaping, but the way you activate the failsafe is literally just pushing over these two vases. A toddler could accomplish this. So in short, if you ever see somebody bringing up the fact that the Doctor beat the devil like it's some sort of big accomplishment, just know that they're hyping up the fact that the Doctor was able to read a glorified picture book and then break 2 pieces of pottery. This is not a feat. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, the series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities so you don't have to. Today's topic is the Glory. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Glory is basically just God. Or more specifically, it's a sort of device from the Doctor Who comics that's used to control the omniversal spectrum, which contains and holds power over all of creation in Doctor Who. Basically, if you control the Glory, you're God. Now, among some fans, the general consensus is that the Doctor ended up wielding the power of the Glory for himself before eventually giving it up, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Here's what actually happened. Now, to provide some context, the Glory needs a wielder in order to function, and if that wielder dies, then all of creation gets fucked. So in order to avoid that, the Glory needs a new wielder every few eons or so. And as you might have guessed, the new wielder of the Glory is decided with a duel. So in the comic, this guy named Esterath reveals that the Master and the Doctor are the ones who are meant to fight for control of the Glory, winner take all. And after getting a massive power buff from Esterath, the Master and the Doctor battle it out on the omniversal spectrum itself. But in the end, not only does the Doctor very clearly lose the fight, but it's revealed that he and the Master weren't even in the running for ownership of the Glory in the first place. These two were. While the Doctor and the Master were having their useless fight, the real battle for the Glory was taking place elsewhere between this guy named Morningstar and a Cyberman named Croton. Croton wins the duel, takes possession of the Glory, and then heals the Doctor's wounds before sending him back to Earth with his companion. And that's it. So to summarize, the Doctor was never even in the running to be the next wielder of the Glory. And even if he were in the running for it, the Doctor lost the fight that would have given him possession of the Glory. I don't think I need to say any more. This is not a feat. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities so you don't have to. Today's topic is the Doctor having infinite speed. Now, from what I've seen, this is a more obscure feat, but I honestly thought it was pretty funny for some people to bring up, so just bear with me. The feat takes place in a Season 7 episode where a group of scavengers pull the TARDIS onto their ship and damage it in the process, which makes it go haywire. Clara ends up getting lost somewhere inside the damaged TARDIS, and the Doctor enlists the help of the scavengers to find her. They eventually arrive back in the console room where they come to realize that Clara is in a copy of the console room that's occupying the same space but is out of phase with them. It's stated by the Doctor that,
well, it's like a light switch, 2 positions, flickering at super infinite speeds. We're only together for a brief second.
Eventually, the Doctor pulls some levers and does some shit with the Sonic before pulling Clara back into phase with them. Now basically, the claim is that since the Doctor grabbed Clara, who was in a room that was flickering out of phase with his at super infinite speeds, that he achieved super infinite speeds in order to grab her. Now anybody with a functioning brainstem who actually watched the episode can probably figure out why that's not true, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Right before the Doctor grabs Clara, he explains that he's going to have to nudge the alternation to give him a second to grab her.
If I can just isolate her position, I could nudge the alternation, reach in, and grab her.
He then uses a sonic screwdriver, Clara comes into view, and then he pulls her back into phase with him. I don't think it can be any more clear that he slowed her down in order to give himself enough time to grab her. He not only states that's what he's doing, but it's shown as Clara fades into view. This one was honestly just stupid, and it's definitely not a feat. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, the series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is precognition. Now, I've seen a lot of people trying to claim that the Doctor has precognition for a variety of reasons, but the simple fact is, he doesn't. Now, there are a couple hundred episodes of Doctor Who and a couple hundred examples of why the precognition claim isn't true, but I'm only going to need 2, and it just so happens that they're my favorite examples. My examples come from 2 Season 5 episodes where the Doctor, River, Amy, and a bunch of soldiers are searching for an escaped Weeping Angel. They make their way through a winding network of caves full of memorial statues until the Doctor eventually realizes, oh shit, all of these statues are Weeping Angels. Do you see what I mean? If the Doctor had precognition, there's no fucking way he would wander through an army of Weeping Angels for like an hour without even noticing what he was surrounded by. And speaking of not noticing things, if you need more evidence that the Doctor doesn't have precognition, later on the Weeping Angels literally laugh at his ass for not noticing a crack in the fabric of reality that is 2 feet from him.
There's more power on this ship than you yet understand.
Dear God, what is it?
It's hard to put it in your terms, Dr. Song, but as best as I understand it, the angels are laughing.
Laugh?
Because you haven't noticed yet, sir. The Doctor in the TARDIS hasn't noticed.
Doctor.
No, wait. It's something
If you're someone who thinks the Doctor has precognition, then I'm convinced that you either didn't watch the show or watched it with your eyes closed. Either way, this is not an ability. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, the series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is the moment. Now, this topic is going to be a bit different than the other ones I've covered because I'm going to be talking about it in the context of a versus battle, specifically a versus battle with Superman. Now, to provide a little context, the moment is actually a device created by the Time Lord said to be the most powerful weapon in the universe, and it was also said that the Doctor once used it to destroy the Time Lords and the Daleks to end the Time War. Now, I've debated the Superman versus the Doctor topic so many times, and basically every time somebody brings up the fact that the Doctor could use the moment against Superman. But to be honest, the moment is one of the dumbest things to try to bring up in this versus battle, or any versus battle really, and that's all because of 3 simple reasons. Number 1, we have no fucking clue what the moment does. The moment has actually never been activated. Gallifrey was never destroyed by it, it was just the Doctors pulling a trick on the Daleks that made them destroy themselves, while making it look like Gallifrey was destroyed too. But in reality, the moment was never activated, and we never got an explanation as to what it could do, besides statements of it being the most powerful weapon in the universe. With such little information, there is no basis to say that it could even touch Superman, let alone kill him. Number 2, the moment is slow. The moment may be a very powerful weapon, but it has a conscience, and it's very slow to activate. It's nowhere near as simple as just pushing a button or flipping a switch, because apparently it'll just yap to you for like an hour, before it'll let you activate it. And now for the 3rd, final, and biggest reason why using the moment in discussions like this is really dumb. It has a conscience. Like I stated earlier, the moment is not only sentient, but it has a conscience, and it can physically stop you from interacting with it if it wants to. So it won't just let you randomly kill people if you want to. It has the ability to assess what you're about to do with it and decide whether or not it's going to let you. And it also has the ability to not only see the timeline of the person interacting with it, but the person that person is trying to affect. If you don't understand why pitting the moment against Superman is stupid yet, let me spell it out for you. If the Doctor tried to use the moment against Superman and it realized the person the Doctor was trying to get it to kill was not only a superhero, but the greatest superhero of all time, it would tell him to fuck off. I really wish people would stop trying to use the moment in versus battles. It's really not the trump card they think it is. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, a series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is the Toymaker. Now, to provide some context, the Toymaker is a cosmic being from a different universe who can basically do whatever he wants, but his whole identity is centered around games. The people who play his games rarely ever win and are subjected to very cruel penalties. Now the claim here is that the Doctor beat the toy maker at his own game a couple times, which is considered a very powerful feat. But honestly, these aren't very strong feats at all. The first time the Doctor beat the toy maker, all he did was mimic the toy maker's voice to trick the toy maker's realm into imploding.
Go from move 1023. Master switch!
And the second time he beat the toy maker, all he did was play a game of catch with him and win. That's it. Do you see what I mean about this not really being impressive? Voice mimicry is a fairly simple thing to achieve with enough practice, and playing a game of catch just needs basic athleticism. And it's not like the toy maker was throwing the ball at like Mach 3 or something, it was just a regular game of catch. And the Doctor even had the numbers advantage since the game of catch was 2v1. A normal human could accomplish these things fairly easily. I don't even know how you can overblow this feat with a straight face. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, the series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is technology manipulation. Now this ability comes straight from the Versus Battle wiki, and the reference that they use for it comes from a season 1 episode. Now to provide a little context, in this episode the Doctor is in London during World War II, where he keeps running into a child with a gas mask fused to his face that keeps uttering the phrase,
"Are you my mummy?"
And it turns out that just by touching somebody, he can turn them into a creature just like him. Now by the end of the two-parter, it's revealed that all of this is due to some alien medical nanobots that mutated the child when they found him injured. And the Doctor fixes the problem by having the nanobots recognize the child's mother, and then he sends them off to turn everybody else back to normal. So basically, the claim here is, since the Doctor was able to influence the nanobots, that means he has tech manipulation. But if you actually pay attention to the episode, that's not true. The little robots that caused all the problems are called nanogenes, and they can interface with people in order to heal them, and they can also be programmed to interact with certain biology in certain ways. Taking this into account, it's incredibly clear that the Doctor doesn't have technology manipulation, he just used the nanobots how they were intended. Saying the Doctor has tech manipulation because of this moment just doesn't make any sense. That's like saying you have tech manipulation just because you can pause and play this video by tapping your finger. If that's not enough proof, you can really just look at the rest of the show. If the Doctor had tech manipulation, he would have just used it in basically every episode where tech is a problem. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, the series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is the Doctor absorbing the universe. Now this feat comes from an event in one of the Doctor Who comics, and even though some of you may have heard of it before, just to provide some context, during this event, the universe and time itself is being destroyed by this weird white energy, which of course prompts the Doctors, mainly the 9 to 12 era ones, to band together in order to stop it. Using a ship to fly into one of the holes created by the energy, they look for its source and eventually come upon this. A massive, cosmic-looking form of the 11th Doctor sitting in a white void swallowing up the rest of the universe. Now this is the panel that I've seen a bunch of people use to say that the Doctor once absorbed the universe and he scales however high. But the thing is, this isn't even the Doctor. Let me explain. See, after doing some scans, they figure out that the thing at the center of all this is actually a Type 1 TARDIS. And with a little help from his other selves, of course the Doctors fly right into it. After crash landing into the control room, they come upon a basically immobile 11th Doctor who's hooked up to the console. 11 goes on to explain that he was trying to pilot the Type 1 through the time vortex, but because it had no dimensional buffers, everything went wrong and it ended up in the void. The Type 1 was at peace in the void, but the Doctor obviously wasn't. So he mentally patched himself into the Type 1's corrupted console in order to try and coax it back into the universe by trying to show it all the wonder and beauty the universe had. And while she did see this, she also not only saw the chaos and violence the universe had to offer, but she also heard a certain phrase over and over again that she ended up taking as an imperative. With that, she started opening up white holes across the entire universe in order to let void energy leak through and consume everything, in order to make the universe find peace. So in short, the Doctor did not absorb the universe, a Type 1 TARDIS did. It only took on a form similar to the Doctor's because it was patched into his mind at the time. The most that the Doctor did was accidentally give it the idea to absorb the universe. It's painfully obvious that the people who try to bring this up as one of the Doctor's feats just didn't read the comic. Welcome back to Dr. Debunks, a series where I debunk overblown Doctor Who feats and abilities because some of you really need to get off the Doctor's dick. Today's topic is the Doctor versus Akaten. Now this isn't exactly a super common feat to bring up, but I have seen a few people mention it, so here we are. To give a little context, in a season 7 episode, the Doctor and Clara find themselves in a civilization who worships and sometimes sacrifices little girls to a god that they call Akaten, who's this big star-looking creature thing. But as it turns out, Akaten isn't a god, he's an overgrown parasite who feeds off of the memories and experiences of the people who are sacrificed to him. Realizing this, the Doctor willingly gives Akaten his thousands of years of memories and experiences, hoping they'll overfeed him and make him collapse, which they do for like 2 seconds. Now, first of all, this scene isn't a feat at all. The most it does is give us a glimpse of how long the Doctor has lived and the kind of experiences he's had. But not only is this not a feat, if you think about it, this is actually one of the Doctor's dumbest moments. Consider this. The Doctor has a vast amount of knowledge that he's collected over the thousands of years that he's been alive, and knows how to build, access, and implement certain technologies and weapons that could be a real problem. And he gave all of that knowledge to a fucking gigantic, power-hungry parasite. The Doctor even acknowledged the kind of dangerous secrets and stuff that he knew, and he still gave it all to Akaten.
And I know things, secrets that must never be told, knowledge that must never be spoken.
Just for it to do next to nothing. If Clara hadn't come in clutch with that leaf, the Doctor and probably everybody else would have been fucked. The speech the Doctor gave was fucking great, but otherwise this really isn't one of his best moments.